Alright guys, welcome back to Resilient Man. On the road today, heading down to where I'm originally from in Florida, so thought I'd just record something as I drive, mix it up a little bit. You know, how many of you out there have thought to yourself recently when it comes to women that it's just not worth the hassle anymore with the hoops you have to jump through and the unrealistic expectations of modern women and the risk involved? I believe there's a lot of men these days who really feel that the juice is simply not worth the squeeze. And that's what I wanted to talk about today on this episode of Resilient Man. Dealing with the modern woman in our society, in our culture, is quite the experience, and a lot of men, those who seek to have peace and tranquility in their life and don't want the hassle, are choosing to opt out, or choosing to say, I just don't want to deal with it. And it's interesting too, because a lot of young men in their late teens or even early 20s are saying, man, I just don't want to deal with this because it's too much hassle and or there's just too much risk involved. So let's talk about this here. And if you like my content, please like and please comment down below if you have your own thoughts and sense. Like and subscribe to my page. So let's talk about this, okay? So let's start off with I would call them delusional expectations of the modern Western woman. In many cases, they have a huge list of expectations of their must-haves in a man, most of which are completely unrealistic. Most men cannot check those boxes, and a lot of these women are saying, if they don't check all the boxes, man, I'm not going to quote-unquote settle. And the interesting thing is, a lot of these women are just average women. On a scale of 1 to 10, there may be a 4 or 5 or a 6 in that ranking. And let me say this: the word average is not a negative connotation. The average is average. You're the majority. That's the normal. Just like these same women, the average guy who is a 4 or 5 or a 6, those guys are invisible to these women. They overlook these men. They're not interested in these men. They're only interested in the top tier men. The guys who are 8s, 9s, and 10s, and who are the Chads and the bad boys and, those type of guys. And these women have these delusional expectations and views of themselves. They overassess their own sexual market value most of the time, because in our society and in our culture, they're constantly told, you're a queen, you're perfect the way you are. It doesn't matter what you look like, you're beautiful no matter what, which we know as men is bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. Men are visually oriented, and we want a woman who is attractive and sexy and in shape. And you have a lot of modern women these days who literally are just ignoring that and saying, no, hey, so I'm 50 pounds overweight, so I'm out of shape, so what? You need to love me for how I am. You need to love me for who I am. The interesting thing is, they don't do that in return. The man that they're quote-unquote refusing to not settle for must meet their expectations. They have to meet all the 6s. At least 6 foot tall, make a strong six-figure income, at least six or more down below, all these different expectations. And if you ask these women who have these high expectations, well, what exactly do you bring to the table? She'll respond with, I bring me, you get me. There's really not that much more that they bring to the table. So it's interesting and frustrating, I would say, because these women have these delusional expectations. And again, they overestimate their sexual market value because, maybe they've been out and about to the clubs, to the bars, or what have you, and they've hooked up with Chad, the bad boy, the guy, who's an 8, 9, or a 10. And these guys, look, we all know they're willing to take them home and sleep with these women. It's an easy mark. It's easy, They get their needs met for the evening. They have a little fun. And then they can toss them aside and move on. They may even keep them as a side piece for a period of time, but they're never going to commit to these women. Never. And I think deep down these women know it, but they just won't let it go. They chase these men who are never going to commit to them, and the men that would commit to them and would provide them with the things that they say they want: a provider, security, a good man, a decent man, a good husband, a good father for their children, to build a family and a legacy. They overlook those men. Those men are completely invisible. And it's truly sad, but it's the reality of our society. So that's where we are with the expectations of a lot of modern women. So let's get into what I see as there are two main types of women in American society today, or in Western society. The first one I would describe as the boss bitch, the boss babe, the quote-unquote woman who describes herself, quote-unquote, as the strong, independent woman. And, it always cracks me up because I'm thinking to myself, independent from what? A lot of these women have been married before, and when you peel down the onion, so as to speak, their independence financially comes from being rooted in their child support and their alimony that they got from their previous husband, which was basically extorted through the so-called family court system, which is corrupt and biased towards men. So that always cracks me up there. But then these women go on to say about how strong and independent they are, and they list off their attributes that, I've got a great job, and I make six figures, and I own my home, and I own this, and I've done this, and I've got this degree, and what have you. And it's interesting because none of those things men give a shit about. We don't give a shit about how much money a woman makes or her degrees or anything like that. And it's ironic that they hold these things up as their main attributes when those attributes are actually strong male attributes that a lot of women are looking for in a man. And so, these strong, independent women, modern feminists, quite frankly, they are the type of woman that you want to run from. They are always going to see themselves as in competition with you. You are never going to meet their expectations. You're never going to have their full respect. From a financial standpoint, you need to be making a minimum of 1.5 times what they make in order for them to see you as superior, which is what women want in a man. They want to look up to their man. And so you have to be able to meet these enormous expectations. And, you know, as I mentioned before about women wanting a man to accept her for how she is, the strong, independent boss bitch is never going to accept you for who you are. Actually, she's going to look down on you, and she's going to see you as inferior, and at some point she's going to cheat on you and or leave you altogether. So that would be the first type of women in our society, in our culture, that you know, I would say. The second type, I would call not traditional. I would call them, quote unquote, more traditional, in that these are the women who, they do want to get married. They do want to find a man. They do want to get married. They want to have children, and they want to be a mother. They want to have a family. But in many respects, they still want to work. They want to have a career as well. They want to do it all. And with both types of women, the more traditional and the boss bitch, they know that the legal system is on their side, and they know that they can break the marital contract anytime they choose, for any reason they choose, due to no-fault divorce in many states. And they can leave, you know, they can break the marital contract at any time, and they are very confident that the court is going to side with them. The court is going to award them cash and prizes for them leaving the marital home and leaving her husband. She's most oftentimes, the woman does get the home. Most oftentimes, I'm talking 90+% of the time, which is, you know, severely imbalanced in our family law legal system. You know, 90+% of the time, the woman gets the home. She gets full custody of the children. She gets child support. She may get alimony. All these different things. The man is rarely seen as the primary parent. It is always assumed that the mother is the obvious primary parent, and so there's an enormous risk involved here if you go into a marriage contract with a woman today in today's society and culture. Again, so it comes back to a lot of men do have the opinion that juice is simply not worth the squeeze. And so what do we do? What do we do when this is the environment that we live in? And, you know, you could say, well, maybe some of you watching this video are religious, and you say, well, you just got to find a good woman in church, a good traditional woman. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, because those women, you know, women across the board, the stats show, are initiating and filing for divorce at a rate of 80% or more. And so just because she comes from a traditional background or a religious background, that doesn't really give you any safeguards in today's culture and society, because we live in a society and culture that is female focused, and the man, the father, the husband, you're disposable. You are disposable. And we have a family court system that sanctions it and actually encourages it, and makes it extremely hard for men in our society today. So Anyways, I'm driving along and I just had these thoughts, and I just thought I would pop on, make a quick video. Tell me your thoughts. Put your comments down below about what your thoughts are. Would you engage in marriage today? Would you take that risk? Is the juice worth the squeeze for you today in today's society and culture? Anyways, that's all I got for today. Know your worth, protect your peace.